waiting for your call. The James Whale Radio Show.
Good evening and welcome to a live show from Leeds tonight. You can probably sense that it's just slightly different. Tonight we are going to embark on a little bit of television history. We are going to try a television experiment that has never been done before. An experiment in psychic matters. It's all during rehearsals. Funny things have gone wrong. We've had problems tonight. But we hope to find out answers to questions people have been asking for years. The phone number, if you wish to respond to us a little later, don't bother to ring at this particular moment, but if you want to ring in later when James Byrne, who I will introduce you to in just a second, has done his experiment, which we will be carrying out later on the show this evening, then ring the number. The normal number, there it is on the screen, 0532 46 1000. Let me introduce you now to James Byrne. Good evening, James.
Good evening, James.
It's going to be very confusing as well. And also John. Now, John is James's manager and agent. And just before we go any further, James has not been a psychic. What would you describe him as? A medium?
Well, I would describe him as a psychic. He is definitely a medium, there's no doubt about that. He's a medium for the next world. They use James Byrne as a channel to communicate with this world. He's
sort of a male version of the late Doris Stokes.
Yes, but he doesn't wear the same dress.
He doesn't wear the same. I'm glad to... And he's got a sense of humour as good. That's good, yes.
Has, yeah.
How did you're a theatrical agent?
You could say that, James.
And you had no interest in handling a medium, did you?
Certainly not. It just came out of the blue. Apparently, James just phoned me up one day and said he received a message from the world beyond that he had to come and see me because I had to be his manager. Well, I'm game for a laugh, so...
Didn't that shock you? Didn't you feel a bit strange about that?
Well, surprisingly enough, this really didn't, because a medium called Joan had predicted this about 4 weeks before when I went to see her for a private consultation. And she said that there was a man coming into my life who was going to take me onto the stage.
Yeah.
And I would be going all around the world. And this man was going to be incredibly successful. And here he is tonight, being incredibly successful.
Have you been successful yet, James?
Well, we're on the James Whale Radio Show tonight.
That is, of course, an adequate answer. The experiment that has never been carried out, you've done it on radio before successfully, it has never been carried out on television. Explain for me what this experiment is.
Well, basically, I was challenged by a man called Tony Newman to prove that I had this gift or this ability. And what it consisted of was we asked the viewers or the listeners, whatever, to concentrate for 1 minute upon my name, at the same time having some memento by the side of a loved one that passed away, such as a photograph or a watch or whatever, anything that belonged to the person that passed away. I went into this, quite frankly, believing that nothing would happen. I was amazed when people started ringing in and telling me the most incredible things. The most incredible one was, I did this in Liverpool, and a guy rang in and he said that him and his sister had fallen out 15 years previously, and he said he was a total non-believer in this, and he said he was listening to me in the car, and he said while he was going along the road he heard his dad's voice, that had passed away some years previously, say to him, go and see your sister. And that day they came together again after 15 years because of that incident. Now, he was a total non-believer, but that happened to him.
Right, now what do people watching tonight need to have at home to take part in this experiment?
Well, they need to have some memento of a loved one that's passed away, such as a photograph, a ring, a watch, a pipe, whatever. Anything that meant something to them.
Right, we will come back and talk more about this and carry out the experiment a little later on. For the moment, thank you. Now, recently we went down to the Midlands to explore sightings of a ghost in a World War II bomber. Watch this.
Whale is investigating the paranormal. I'm here at Cosford Aerospace Museum to see whether or not one of their planes is haunted. It is the freezingest night I've ever felt. Come on, let's get inside. This is the crew room of the old World War II hangar. And Ivan and Alan have both met me here tonight to do a little psychical research. Now, why would a nice, sensible man like yourself, Ivan, first come to spend nights in a... I mean, were you ghost hunting in the first place, or was it somebody told you about it? What happened?
No, it was a case of somebody telling me about it, and I thought that it was a good story and worth looking into. The aeroplane was built in 1945. It was originally built for Tiger Squadron, which was going to bomb Japan, but of course the Americans came along and dropped the atomic bomb, so they didn't need it. It actually retired in April 1963, and there's quite an interesting story about the last pilot to fly this plane. For some reason, he didn't want to leave the plane when they transferred him, and he said that when he died, he would haunt the plane. He was transferred to another aircraft, which crashed a few miles away from Cosford, and he was killed.
Now, Alan, you're a medium of some 40 years standing. This isn't unusual to you.
No, no. I've had quite a few experiences of poltergeist phenomena, haunted houses and so on, so this is, if you like, just another one of those things.
Now, I have to ask you this, have you actually seen what we would call a ghost?
Oh, yes.
You have?
Yes. Apparition, if you like. It's a sort of phantom type of manifestation.
Ivan, you were sitting here in this crew room one night, and something happened. Before you tell me about that, just play me a little bit of the tape, and just tell me what you're going to play first of all.
Yes, of course. Well, the recordings on this tape were taken inside the aircraft in the middle of the night with no one on board.
Nobody did this just happened.
This just happened.
Okay. Do you think about those noises, Alan?
All matter as associations with the past, the history, and there can be an imprint built into that, the building, say, the brick walls, and something of the personality of the people that have lived within those walls are there, can be stored and recorded, and only somebody sensitive or mediumistic can actually trigger off, as you say, act as a catalyst. I believe my friend Ivan here is a catalyst, and I think he was able to... That might not have occurred in the presence of the average person.
Now, Ivan, you were sitting here in the crew room one night, and a rather strange thing happened. Just tell us about it.
That's right. It was one very windy October night, and we'd been trying to do recordings in the aircraft, but it was so windy the hangar doors were banging, and we were not getting any sounds from inside the aircraft. So it was a bit of a waste of time. So at about 1 minute after midnight, we came in here to get a cup of tea. And our observer, Peter Thornycroft, came round the back of this door to the kettle, made a cup of tea, and was just about to hand out the mugs of tea to us when a dark silhouette walked past the doorway. When it reached a point adjacent to where Peter was standing, Peter began to shake violently. The hot tea went all over him. He burned himself quite badly. We had to actually grab him, sit him down and try and calm him down. I left somebody attending to him and followed the figure out into the main hangar. It had gone in the direction of the Lincoln bomber. I went out there, turned on all the hangar lights, but there was no one there.
Well, there we are. True or not? Wonder what you believe. With me now are Tom Willis and Aelwyn Roberts, both reverend gentlemen. Aelwyn, first of all, the author of Holy Ghostbusters. Obviously, you have a sense of humour. Reading this book, I mean, you seem to have been in the presence of ghosts or poltergeists or whatever you call very often. And
For many years.
I find that difficult to understand, because I thought that people involved in the Church of England didn't believe in that sort of thing, or had nothing to do with them.
Well, I'm not interested in ghosts, really. It's just a problem. I mean, there are so many people who are troubled by ghosts. And where would you go? You don't go to your doctor, you don't go to your solicitor. It's a spiritual problem, so you go to the spiritual man. I mean, it's an obvious place to come for help, I should imagine.
So they came to you, they seeked you out first of all?
Yes,
yeah.
yes.
Now, in Wales, where you come from, obviously, it seems to me, I mean, reading your book, almost frighten anybody to go there. I mean, it seems that everywhere there's a ghost.
Well, you'd be surprised how many ghosts there are. You see, you would say to me, how is it that you find so many ghosts and know people who come in contact with ghosts, and I don't know any? Well, I'll tell you that. If you paid 100,000 for your house, you don't go around telling even your neighbors. You don't even tell your mother-in-law. Do you know we've got a ghost in our house? Because every time you say that, that house of yours goes down in value 10,000. You see, unless you know an American who wants to buy.
So really, it's all down to estate agents?
Well, I should think so, yes, yes.
Tell me about the ghost in here of Tom, which is the first story in the book, or one of the first stories.
Yes, well, that happened during the war. There was an old lady in...
Was that your first experience?
I think so.
Yeah.
When I was a young curate, there was an old lady, and she had a son who was one of the original desert rats. And she said, Tom is coming home. Oh, when you'll meet Tom, he's a lovely boy. You'll so enjoy meeting Tom. But before Tom came home, there was a telegram. Tom had been killed in Nakhanakshi. The old lady just let the telegram drop from her hand, and she took to her bed. She wasn't ill. She was just broke her heart. And about 3 weeks later, I was called from Sunday school, and they said, oh, Mrs. Jones is ill. She's dying, they think. I went there, and it was an afternoon in the summer, and the old lady was in bed lying down. She was in her 80s. And then, all of a sudden, she sat up, you know, like a young girl. And she looked at me, and she said, Tom, Tom, she said. And then she got hold of my hand. I shall never forget that. She got hold of my hand, not like that, but like that. And she said, Tom. And then she turned and looked at me, and she said, Tom, what do you think of him? She went back in her bed, and she died. Now then, I am convinced that afternoon, summer's afternoon in this little cottage, Tom, who the Ministry of Defense said had died in active service in El Alamein, Tom was back in that little house, and he fetched his mother, and they both went off together, and she was delighted that the new curate had met Tom before she died.
Tom Willis, you are an official exorcist.
Yes, yeah.
Not to say Aelwyn is not. He's not an official exorcist, but you're an official exorcist appointed by the Church of England to go around and get rid of demons and things like this. How do you know when they are evil or when they don't mean you any harm at all? Is there some way you can tell?
It's not often that they are evil, but there's usually a coldness around, or there are reports from the people who are complaining of what's happened that this seems particularly nasty in some way.
Do you remember the first time that you were confronted with this sort of spirit?
Yes, it was when I was a curate as well. A woman came to me and said, can you tell me, is my house haunted or am I heading for a nervous breakdown?
Did you see a ghost?
No, never seen one at all. But I've watched people watching them.
Yeah. What do you think they are?
I think there are different types. I think there are first of all, the apparition, which is a two-dimensional, three-dimensional figure. Sometimes these seem to be memories of the past, but sometimes also they do seem to be the dead trying to communicate, obsessed with something in the past, trying to put it right usually.
Okay, we're going to come back and talk some more a little later on. Thank you very much indeed. But now for something completely different. Yes, the Whale Blubber Club. And time for me to tell you about an entirely new way to get fit. Now, you may remember a couple of weeks ago on the programme we told you about the launching of the Whale Blubber Club, which is a way for you to lose weight and get fighting fit. Primarily it's for men, but of course women can join as well. And if you'd like to find out more details about how you get special concession... concessionary rates for this club, then all you have to do is write to this address and we will send you full details. We'll take a break. Right, welcome back, and this is the time now for the experiment. What we want is for you at home to concentrate on James's name, which will come up on the screen, to have something hopefully now with you of somebody that you would like perhaps to remember. They won't necessarily appear to people, will they, James?
No, they might sense them. I don't really want to suggest what might happen.
Okay,
rather they tell me.
All right. After this experiment, we'll be going into a musical number, and if anything has happened to you, we'd like you to get on the phone and ring 0532 46 1000 immediately. So if you're ready, James, okay?
Yeah.
You take it away.
Just concentrate on the name James Byrne.
Okay, now for the first time on TV, a heavy metal band with a difference, a heavy metal band with a song that is all about ecology and saving the planet. They're completely unsigned, so any record companies looking in tonight, you may be interested. This is off their new EP, and it's called Earth Mother. For the first time on television, New England!
I'd just like to say that I actually invested in a pair of love eggs and consequently wore them walking around boots in Manchester, and we did get quite a few funny looks because they are as loud as they sounded on the show.
I would just like to say that my name is Kevin and I think you show obscene pornographic film. This is disgusting, you pervert. May you rot in hell, blasphemer. Hello, I'm a sausage. I haven't got a bed, but I have some plants, and a microwave. Oh, James, yeah, I just wondered, at home I've got a round black disc with a hole in the middle. Is this a record?
Call box. 0898 46 1000. Call box.
Okay, well, ring that number if anything happened you can't get through to the programme tonight. Did anybody have any experience? I know the music was a little loud there, perhaps took your mind off it. Did anybody have an experience? Anything happen?
No.
No? What about you? You had something you were...
I had a ring, nothing happened.
Nothing happened?
No.
As yet?
Oh, true.
As yet. Okay, let's go back and talk to James. I wonder, actually, Aelwyn, if we come to you first of all, what do you think of what James does? I mean, do you approve, disapprove, or perhaps have no feelings at all?
Well, I don't know. Yes, I think what is happening is that, you see, when a person dies, it's the body that dies, but the mind stays alive. I mean, whether here I've got a mind that is alive, when I die, my same mind will be alive the other side. And I think these minds are making contact, there's some sort of telepathy with James's. I mean, so he can speak to ghosts, or he can speak to people who are alive, I think. Is that true?
Exactly, yeah.
So it really is telepathy we're talking about here, more than ghostliness. And
Tom, you're an exorcist. I mean, I come back to the point that this isn't... Surely this can't be right as far as the Church of England is concerned. I mean, aren't you supposed to keep well away from mediums and psychics?
Yes, normally, yes. Talking to James, it did seem that, before the show, it seemed to me that his experiences were genuine. The danger is, it seems to me, that he's opening all sorts of channels up, and you could get evil coming down those channels. You know, I'm more worried for him than anything.
Presumably, You don't, I mean, you take it on face value, James. I mean, you're doing it in good faith.
Well, yeah, but
you don't know what sort of people or things are coming to you.
Yeah, but I'm very much in control because I spent a lot of years developing this ability, and part of that has been learning how to control. Now, nothing would come through me that was evil. In the 20 years that I've been involved in this, that's
James,
never happened.
With respect, if old Nick himself came through, you would not be in control.
Well, I mean, if what you're saying is true, then obviously it's going to cause at some stage some harm.
Do you believe in the devil?
That's never happened.
Do you believe in the devil?
Well, I believe in good and bad.
Yeah. But do you think you could cope with the bad if it came through?
Well, yeah, but that's never happened. Yeah. I mean, that's a hypothetical
situation. No, but what I'm saying is that it's never happened so far. You don't know what could happen.
No, but I think, can I just say that there's an incorrect way to do this, and there's a right way to do it, and I think if you do it the incorrect way, such as through the use of Ouija boards and that kind of thing, then that is absolutely wrong. And things will come through. But channels, developed channels or mediums are trained to be the master of whatever's happening or the control of whatever's happening.
Can we double-check that one now? Ouija board. Evil spirit, we say, ghosts and evil spirits. I'm saying it because you've got a young audience. There is a tremendous difference. A ghost is a person who is dead but has been alive. It's a human who is now... Yesterday's people, I call them ghosts. Ghosts I met have been lovely people. But there are evil spirits as well. And an evil spirit has never been a human. He's a chip of evil. He is a chip of the devil. He's a demon. And it's dangerous. So when you play with a Ouija board, you don't know who you're calling out.
Exactly,
and it is tremendously dangerous.
I agree with that entirely,
I have seen young people who are absolutely shattered after making contact with the devil.
OK, we'll get through to the calls and we'll come... Oh, we're going to go straight to the calls now. OK, Mandy, hello.
Hello.
Mandy, where are you calling from?
Northfield, Birmingham.
OK. Did anything happen for you, Mandy?
Yes, it did. I was seeing what I thought was a black box and a figure. When it was a figure of my grandmother. Sorry, God forgive me, I'm shaking like a leaf here. She was holding a musical box, which she gave me just before she died. I was about 6, I'm now 23. I don't remember my nan very well, but I remember this musical box very clearly, and that was all I could see. And to be quite honest, it's frightened the life out of me. I'm shaking.
Have you ever seen anything like that before, Mandy?
No, I haven't.
Was it in any way? I mean, obviously, it's made you a little concerned. But did it try to harm you, or did you think it was going to do anything nasty?
No. It was my nan, and it was that very special musical box that was very precious to her. And I don't know what that man's done, but he's marvellous. He really is.
I'm pleased you've said that. But you see, I think that again, these are people that I've never met that are ringing in saying these things, and obviously it's not so. I don't think this girl's shaky because any harm was there. No, it's a shock. No. It startles people, but it's there and it's real, and that's the proof.
Mandy, thank you very much indeed. We've got to take a break now, and we'll come right back and find out whether anybody else has had any interesting experiences too. Don't go away.
46 James Whale. 461000. He's waiting for your call now.
Right, welcome back. This programme seems to be whipping along faster than I'd anticipated. Here we are in the final part. Well, no response to the experiment in the studio. As you heard, some response. You see what? I mean, even my mouth isn't working tonight. It's very strange. Don't laugh. Don't laugh. James is now going to try to communicate maybe with some people for the audience. If you feel that he's talking to you or has a message for you, make a noise as soon as you can and I'll rush over Kilroy style with the microphone, all right? James.
Right. Well, before I speak, I mean, I know this is TV, but I don't want you to feel that you've got to humour me. It wouldn't worry me if you said I was wrong or that you didn't understand what I was talking about. I expect you to be honest. Now, I want to talk to that lady there. You, love, yes. Can you hear me? Now then, I'm going to say something to you, and I want you to be absolutely honest with me. Is that okay? Now, please answer me. Say yes or no.
This lady here?
Yeah, let me hear your voice.
Me?
Just say hello to me, love.
Hello?
No, the lady next to... The lady there.
This one here?
That's right, the lady there.
Hello.
Right, you can hear me?
Yes.
Right, just answer me by saying yes or no. Now, you see, what I'm about to say could apply to every single person in this audience, but messages are pictures that have to be built up. Now, when I looked at you a couple of times, I could see a man with you that hasn't been gone very long. Now, when I would say very long, I would say definitely in the last 4 or 5 years. This guy's name was William. Now then, have you got anything to do with Sheffield at all?
Not at all.
Is there anybody... Well, we're not going to do a Wogan here, I'll tell you that. I know I'm right about this. Is there anybody in that part of the studio that's got any knowledge of this? Because I know I'm right about this. I think we should try and contact the living, James. I don't know.
No, I've nothing to do with Sheffield.
Right, is there anybody else in this part of the studio that's got any knowledge of this? You see,
No, it's just Jack Anderson's got it, isn't it?
Are we all joining on this? Or
don't be afraid to answer me.
What? Whose is?
My grandfather's just died. He was called William.
Yeah, can I ask you something? We'll leave that on one side for a second, because I do know it's there somewhere. I'll come back to him. Can I just ask you this? Have you got something to do with your Sheffield area?
Nothing whatsoever.
Nothing whatsoever. Has the lady there? Right, well, I'm very tempted to walk over there, but I can't. The thing that I want to get across to you
Do you
about
want me
this
to whack
William...
them or something?
Pardon?
No, it's okay, James, carry on.
No. Well, I'll do that later. But what I want to get across to you first...
You can walk over if you want to, James.
About the William.
Yeah.
Is that before he died, this guy... And again, I know this could apply to anybody, but before he passed away, he had terrible, terrible problems here. Now, I believe that he had that problem for some time before he passed away. Tell me something. Are you the father of 2 children?
No.
Are you one of 2 children?
No.
He talks about 2 children, this man, very, very clearly to me. And who is Anne?
Anne doesn't relate to him at all.
No, but it relates to you.
Not to me.
Well, now, I'm not going to allow you to tell me that you don't know that name, because I know you do.
No, it doesn't mean a thing to me.
So you don't know the name?
No.
Well, maybe it's not for you then. Have you... Who is it that's just bought a red vehicle or a red car?
Not me.
Who said me then? You're related to this man, are you? Right.
Hang on, where are we over here, James? I can't...
Right, so you do
Is it
accept
you?
that William
Okay.
has not been gone very long? Right, OK then. Now then, let me just ask you this. So you're related to this man, are you?
Well, man and woman, yes. It's my stepdad.
No, you don't have to tell me who he is.
No.
Just tell... You know, what I want to know is this, because you see, this William, you must have just bought a new red car or a second-hand red car. Is that true?
Yes, it is.
But isn't it also the case that one of you 2 has lived at a door with number 3 on it at some time?
No. No, and I haven't.
And you haven't?
No.
Who is Kath? Or Kathy?
Don't
Shout out, I mean, for goodness, I've got to run to you.
No idea.
Pardon?
No idea. No.
Well, I'll tell you what, I'm going to let you see that. I'm going to have to leave that, William, with you, but it's very strange, isn't it, that you should come in with this red car and your relations are sat right at the other end of the audience. It just strikes me as being strange, that. But then,
do you want to carry on at this moment, or do you want to come and sit down for a couple
well, I would like to just
on, then.
say one other thing. The reason I mentioned this red vehicle, I mean, that's irrelevant. It's not really to do with anything. But what I want to know is this. Is your home either for sale at the moment, or have you just moved, or are you about to move?
I've just moved. I'm probably about to move as well.
You've just moved and you're about to move?
Yeah.
And on that note, I'll stop.
We'll come back to her later. Come and sit down over here. Come and
That's
sit
if
down.
she's still here.
Over here. She'll be there. Now, shall we go for the music first of all? I think before we do anything else. We're a little musical break here. Fantastic French band I met in Covent Garden in London the other day. Le Negre Vert. Look at this. Well, there we are. We'll make a pop video for you if you want. Just get in touch. Le Negre Vert and their new single. Now, the interesting thing I've just heard that when you were talking to a lady, you wanted to know her name. Was it Tom or something
No,
like that.
Kath.
It was no before the first
William.
one. Yeah, William. Because that was your wife, wasn't it? Actually, that he'd struck on first of all in the when I think about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What, the lady in the far corner?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, you see, this is it. I mean, I don't know these people. It's just what comes to you at the time.
You see, we'll come back to that in a moment. I'm interested, though, and perhaps Aelwyn or Tom, you could you could come in here. It always seems when mediums like James do this kind of thing, there seem to be quite a few people doing it now. They come up with things like, now, do you live? Now, hang on, it's coming through. Is there a number 3 on your door, or have you bought a red car, or? Now, come on, I know there's something here. I mean, if there's anything in it, James, why don't they just come down and just bloody well tell you this is the name and this is who it is?
Yeah, but you see, the thing is, they do that. But in these conditions, it's very difficult. I mean, you see, it's interesting to me that message... the lady that said to me, I've just bought a red car, happened to be related to the lady I was originally speaking to. She told me that herself. So, I mean, they're both at each different end of the studio, and yet it all connected up. Now, under normal circumstances, I would have an hour or 2 hours to sort that out.
You haven't, unfortunately. We're going to come back in a minute. If anything comes to you, if you feel, you know, a cameraman or anybody around here, anyone at all, you want to say something, you say it. Let's go to the calls. Nicole from London. Nicole, please, your experience.
Okay, my boyfriend died in a car crash, and he gave me a ring before he died, and I was sitting there watching that, what's his name, James Brown, and as I was concentrating on the name and I had the ring, I felt a presence behind me, and I heard a whisper, which was my boyfriend, in my ear saying my name, and then as I've looked round, the curtains just like blown, and like I heard like faint singing in the distance.
What sort of singing?
It was a song that we used, like when we first met in a bar, it was a song that was playing. He was like singing the melody to it.
Okay, Nicole, thank you very much indeed.
Don't get excited, James. I mean, everybody's got imagination. I mean, you know, I mean, you're sitting on your own, you're looking at the ring, you're missing a young man, and you can see him. I mean, and the song that, you know.
Yeah, I mean, but the whole point I want.
That's not enough proof for me.
Yeah. What sort of proof do you want, Aelwyn? That's what I mean. Do you want proof? Do you want something physically to appear here?
Well, you know, James, I've actually seen them, you see. I've seen ghosts and I've talked to ghosts, and I'm happy.
Whether that
you've
crowd
seen
there,
ghosts?
Yes, you've really seen
whether that crowd there believe in ghosts or whether you do, I just couldn't care less.
See, but you've just hit on it there. It's got to be your experience.
Yeah.
Sure.
It's no good listening to another person's message, because that doesn't mean anything to you. That lady's boyfriend wouldn't mean anything to anybody in here.
But this is interesting, though. Aelwyn over here says he actually believes, and he's seen, and
he
physically...
told me that before the show, yeah.
This is unusual. I find this very unusual for a man of the cloth to say this.
Well, no.
How does your bishop feel about it?
Well, I don't know. But, I mean, doesn't it make sense? When you die, that your mind lives and your mind goes on to another face.
OK, we'll come back in a moment.
Paradise, whatever.
Let's talk to Liz from Birmingham. Hello, Liz.
Hello.
Yes, Liz.
Well, when I was listening to that guy and he said, watch the TV screen, I was very sceptic. I mean, I didn't believe anything was going to happen.
Can we... sorry about this, Liz. I mean, this is very difficult for anybody to hear. Could we turn this volume up, please? Go on, Liz.
I said, when I was watching that guy, I was very, very sceptic. I didn't think anything was going to happen. My mother died November last year. I was holding her purse. I've got 2 clocks in my living room. Both of them were reading the same time tonight at midnight. When I looked at the clock after this chap had been on the TV, I mean, it was 5 minutes later probably, the one clock was 5 minutes further on than the other. And the funny part about it is, while I've been sitting, waiting to come on the line to you, both of the clocks are reading the same time now.
You're not pulling my leg,
I am
are
not
you, Liz?
pulling your leg. Well, I've got my daughter. I'm just...
Yeah.
I'm baffled. I'm absolutely flabbergasted.
I mean, why, I wonder, you see, for me, I wonder why on earth spirits or whatever are doing these little things. I mean, they're just, obviously, you're saying, just to show they're there.
Well, you see, communication is very difficult, and I think that spirit people will communicate in any way that's possible for them to do so. And it's not always in the obvious way. It's not always in the form of a voice or a vision.
But is there a reason, Tom, do you think there's a reason for people, spirits wanting to contact the living or not?
I'm interested in whether he is in fact joining psychic wires and making all this happen, or whether these people are on their own anyway, if they'd strongly thought of the dead person would have had these experiences. We just don't know, but I suspect that he's getting people to think about the dead, and therefore the dead are taking the opportunity.
Can I come in there? Well, that's not strictly true. When all I ask people to do is concentrate on me. I make no suggestions of what may happen. I mean, I just say, you ring in and tell me what happened. And I think James said to me before we started this, what's likely to happen? And my answer to that is, I'd rather not say, I'd rather people ring in and tell me.
OK, Liz, thank you very much indeed. We've got a lot of calls. Let's go to some more calls. Diana from Harrogate. Yes, Diana.
Yes, hello. I wanted to give my question to one of the clergymen, please.
Yes.
My mother passed away 11 years ago. We were very, very close. I did go through the process. I'm wearing 2 of her rings, which I found very quickly. I am one who would very much have liked a contact. Absolutely nothing happened. That isn't actually the reason for my call. At the time that she died, my vicar, who is also C of E, advised me very strongly against trying to make any contact. He seemed to realise I was so close to her, I was likely to do so. He was adamant.
Yeah. So you want to know really...
There was something dangerous
I see, Diana. So really what you want to know is how the 2 vicars here can can actually stand up and talk the way they are.
He was so adamant, as if he was frightened.
And I mean, this is the sort of response I normally got.
I would absolutely agree. Let her mother rest in peace. Let her not rest. No, we don't rest after we let her mother proceed in peace towards perfection, but not interfere. I think it is wrong for people to call out the spirit of the dead.
But then what was I trying to do by looking at this man on the television with the rings on my finger? There was a part of me thinking, just a minute, dear, you're breaking the rules. You've been told not to do this.
That's the barrier. That's the conditioning and the barrier. I mean,
Well, you're then arguing with the clergyman.
Then you're disagreeing, Diana, saying that you are disagreeing with what James is doing,
I should let her rest in peace, not interfere.
No.
How to.
You can't make a rule. Now, look, I believe that there are many spirits that come back. Now, this lady's mother hasn't come back, and because she hasn't got a problem. There are many spirits that come back because they've got a problem, an unresolved problem in this world, and they come back.
So therefore, you think that James is doing a good job, he's helping people to
in a
come
sense,
to
yes, yes, as I have helped many who have had problems.
All right.
Yes.
Diana, thank you for your call. Let's move on. We've got a lot of calls. Rob from Lincolnshire. Hello, Rob.
Hello there.
Yeah.
I'd just like to say that I've never ever believed in any of this sort of thing before in my life. But my grandfather died 12 years ago. He brought me up from a child because my father left when I was 2 years old. The only thing he ever left me was a statue of a racehorse called Nijinsky, which is sitting by my television screen. And I was just sitting there, and this name came on the telly, this James Byrne. And I've never believed in this sort of thing. And he said, concentrate on his name. And I concentrated on his name. And my grandfather always said that when this horse was sitting in your living room, its eyes would follow you around the room. I sat there, I concentrated on the name, and the whole room went totally cold. Whether that was a sign or whatever, I don't know.
But I thought you were going to say something rude for a minute. I thought you were going to say the horse misbehaved on top of the television or something like that.
But this was the only thing he left me, and it was the only thing in the room. I really was
You're telling me, Rob, here, a guy from Lincolnshire here, you know, sort of, you don't believe in, you were going to say the sort of mumbo-jumbo. You're actually in 2 minds now, are you?
That's right, yeah, I definitely am, because the whole room went totally cold. My wife's here as well.
Okay.
Cold. Central heating on and everything. But it was really, really cold. You know when they say when people walk over your graves, the hair stand on the back of your neck? It was just like that.
OK, Rob.
Coldness is a regular symptom and a thing that does happen. I think the principle about all this is that if something appears to you or things happen you can relate to it and deal with it. But you ought not to call it in, because if you try and call something in, or try to get in touch with great-granddad or whatever, you're liable to get something else pretending to be granddad, pass you pleasant information to begin with, and then tell the big lies which cause the problems.
Now, Tom, a lot of people watching this programme tonight are probably going to feel that they want to find out more after things have happened to them. Should they do that, or should they be very wary, as you say? Should they perhaps contact their local clergyman, priest, whatever?
I would certainly be very wary of trying to stir things up. But if you have a disturbed house or something, well, fair enough.
They call for you.
Call somebody in to try and bring peace to it.
Are there exorcists in all areas?
Well, the Church of England has one in every diocese, at least, but there are usually a lot more. Yeah.
Ian from Manchester, final call. Ian.
Hello?
Yeah.
Well, I was concentrating on the... Well, basically, my father died about 2 years ago. He was ill for 10 years with a bad chest, and he used to believe that gargling and swallowing TCP would make it a bit better. Yeah. And I was holding his cigarette case and concentrating on the name when I got this very strong smell of TCP. Now, I don't use TCP. We haven't got any in the house.
What's that noise, Aelwyn? You're making
No, that's interesting. That is interesting, because very often people have told me, we've got a ghost. I haven't seen the ghost, but oh, when you go into the room after the ghost has been there, there's a lovely fragrance.
In fact, you write about a smelly ghost in your book, don't you?
Well, that's a smelly one. That's a little boy dropping stink bombs, that one in the book. But no, you also get a lovely fragrance, apparently.
OK, thank you very much indeed for the calls. I'm just reminded, before we go, actually, I have got this, thank you, competition to do. You may remember last week we said write in or ring in the competition line to win this wonderful kangaroo, all bits moving and working. If you can tell us what the name of the baby kangaroo is, it is, of course, Joey, and the winner is Miss J. Lord from Lincoln. Congratulations to you. And this week, to win a copy of the video Ghost, thought you'd like that, a copy of Aelwyn's book, Ghostbusters, which of course he will be delighted to sign, and maybe free tickets to James Byrne's next show. All you have to do is ring the competition line number, which is coming up on the screen now, there it is, and answer one simple question. What is the co-star, well, it isn't the co-star, but the well-known Oscar-winning lady actress who appears in this film with Patrick Swayze? What did you say? Oh, yes, the supporting actress, that's it, the supporting actress. Ring that number, and we'll pick out the winner next week. Next week, we have an all-singing, all-dancing show. Lyndon Nolan is on. We've got live music, we've got comedy, the whole stuff next week. Everything is happening on the show then. For the meantime, we're going to continue and talk more about that and see whether James comes up. He wants to go and talk to somebody. Unfortunately, we don't have any more time to share it with you. If you'd like to tell us more, drop us a line. You know the usual address: Wales Mail, care of Yorkshire Television, Leeds, and tell us whether or not you had some kind of psychic experience, or ring our 0898 number, 0898 46 1000. That's it, gentlemen. Thank you very much indeed for joining us tonight. It's been fascinating, and thank you to the audience. Have a nice weekend from all of us. Bye bye.